In 1981, on Halloween night, Ronald Sisman and his girlfriend, Elizabeth Platzman, were found brutally murdered in Sisman's Manhattan apartment. Sisman, a 39-year-old photographer, had been beaten and shot execution-style along with Platzman, whose body was discovered beside his. The apartment was ransacked, suggesting a robbery gone wrong, but no valuables seemed to be missing, adding a bizarre twist to the crime. Investigators were puzzled. Was this a targeted hit, or something even darker? As the investigation unfolded, an unsettling theory emerged. David Berkowitz, the infamous son of Sam killer serving life in prison, had previously told police about a cult in New York City involved in various murders. He claimed that the group planned a killing on Halloween and that it would take place in an apartment near Greenwich Village. But police couldn't confirm this connection. The case grew colder as the leads dwindled. While Berkowitz's claims were never substantiated, they cast a chilling shadow over the murder. To this day, the case remains unsolved. On Halloween night in 1974 in Deer Park, Texas, Ronald Clark O'Brien took his two children, 8-year-old Timothy and 5-year-old Elizabeth, trick-or-treating in their neighborhood. They were joined by a neighbor and his children. What seemed like a normal, exciting Halloween night unfolded into one of the most disturbing homicide cases in Texas history. As the group made their rounds, they reached a house where no one answered the door. The children ran ahead to the next home while O'Brien stayed behind, returning minutes later with 5 pixie sticks, which he claimed had finally been handed out by someone in the house. He gave each child one of the powdered straws, and also handed one to a trick-or-treater they knew from church. Later that night, when the family returned home, Timothy asked to eat some of his candy. He grabbed one of the pixie sticks he received earlier, unaware of the horror it held inside. Within minutes, he began vomiting and convulsing. His father called an ambulance, but tragically, Timothy died on the way to the hospital. The cause of death was soon revealed: cyanide poisoning. As police investigated, Ronald O'Brien's story began to unravel. The supposed kind neighbor he claimed gave him the pixie sticks was never found, and it became clear that O'Brien himself had laced the candies with cyanide. The motive was chilling. He had taken out life insurance policies on his children and planned to use Timothy's death to claim the money, even attempting to frame others to cover his tracks. Ronald O'Brien, dubbed the Candyman, was convicted of murdering his son and executed in 1984. On Halloween morning 2010, 16-year-old Devin Griffin came home after spending the night at his father's place, hoping to change and get ready for church. But as he stepped into his house, a chilling silence greeted him. Devin found his mother, Susan Liske, stepfather, Bill, and stepbrother, Derek, all murdered in brutal attacks. Susan and Derek had been shot, while Bill had been savagely beaten with a hammer. Unable to comprehend the horror, Devin initially thought it might be some twisted Halloween prank. Investigators quickly honed in on the family's oldest son, 24-year-old William B.J. Liske, who had a troubled past with mental health issues and a history of violent behavior. B.J. had been visiting the house that weekend and was known to have a difficult relationship with his family. Authorities later found and arrested B.J., who confessed to the killings. In 2011, B.J. Liske was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole, but was found dead in his cell in 2015. On October 28, 2014, Patricia Ward, a 66-year-old college professor from Long Island, was murdered by her son, Derek Ward, in one of the most bizarre and shocking crimes in recent memory. Derek, who had a history of mental illness, was living with Patricia at the time. On that tragic evening, he attacked his mother, violently stabbing and ultimately decapitating her. Afterward, in a state of apparent detachment, Derek carried Patricia's body down several flights of stairs and out to the street, where he dropped her body like a bag of trash. To the neighbors, Patricia's headless corpse appeared to be a Halloween prank, and many walked by in awe of the realism of the body. It wasn't until around 8 p.m., when neighbors saw Derek place Patricia's head on the ground next to her body, that neighbors realized something was wrong. Police were informed, and they went searching for Derek. But before police could arrest him, Derek stepped in front of a train, ending the tragic story with no real answers. Patricia was remembered as a dedicated teacher and caring mother, while Derek's mental struggles shed light on the challenges of managing severe mental illness. On October 25, 2014, Chelsea Bruck, a 22-year-old from Maybe, Michigan, attended a massive Halloween party in a rural area near her hometown. Excited about the event, she dressed up as Poison Ivy from Batman, a costume she made herself, complete with green leaves and a purple wig. The night was filled with laughter, music, and friends, but when the party ended, Chelsea never returned home. Friends and family grew worried as hours turned into days without a sign of her. Searches began immediately, with volunteers combing fields, forests, and roadsides. Weeks stretched on, and the mystery deepened. Her family never gave up hope, but the community was gripped by fear, desperate to find out what had happened. 6 months later, in April 2015, investigators made a grim discovery. Chelsea's remains were found in an overgrown field near a construction site in Monroe County, about 10 miles from where she'd last been seen. DNA and forensic evidence pointed to a man named Daniel Clay, who had a history of violent behavior. Clay was arrested and confessed, but his account of Chelsea's death was inconsistent and troubling. He initially claimed her death was an accident, but evidence told a different story of a brutal assault. In 2017, Clay was convicted of Chelsea's murder, finally bringing a measure of justice to her family and community.